just talk about what's it called? Backwards compatibility for, say, the PS3 and why it should have been backwards compatible with the PS4. Why backwards compatibility should have been allowed on the PS4. So I could play games like this. This is Metal Gear Rising, and it's only for PS3. I mean, I played this for about 40 hours, but I would have played it for 50 had it not been for the fact that I can't beat the last boss in the hard difficulty mode. I would have actually beaten Metal Gear Rising 4 or Metal Gear Rising about 3 times in all 3 difficulty levels. But because stupid Sony didn't make it backwards compatible, I can't play this on my PS4. I can only play this on my PS3, and not to mention that because it's not backwards compatible, I can't give my PS3 a break. I mean, I would like to, but I can't. Because of the lack of, shall we say, brain power that Sony possesses, not making the PS3 games great on the PS4. I mean, come on. If Sony really cared about all of their fan base, they would have made PS4 backwards compatible. I mean, they say their motto is greatness awaits, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't greatness learning from your past mistakes? I mean, Sony for the PS4 made the PS3. Let's see, there was the first 2 base models, but those don't count. Those were the good children, which actually played all the games that they had in their library. I mean, so let me start from the very bottom. Let's see, we got the 12 gig, which I don't know why Sony made it 12 gig. I mean, that defeats the purpose of that, because you can't even fit any games on a 12 gig. I mean, the only thing you could fit is Destiny, and that's about it. Let's see. There's the 40 gig. I don't know why that was made either. I mean, that was stupid, in my opinion. I mean, why? You got safety cautious about selling your 60 and 80 gig PS3s? I mean, the 20 gigs and the 60 gigs, which cost you maybe $800 to make. That's why you made, what, 4 other versions? Wait, we got the 40, we got 12, we got 120. I believe there was 120. I know there was 160 gig. I don't know why that was made either. 250, 320, and 500. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different iterations of the PS3 just to recuperate the cost of year 2? For Sony, that's a bad business model. I mean, they're known for making games playable on their previous systems. I mean, I still have my 60 gig. I mean, I would love to play my PS3 game, this game, on my Ps4. But it's not backwards compatible. And their motto is, greatness awaits. Where's the greatness? Where's your PS2 games that are backwards compatible? And it's not like you guys are really trying to focus in on PlayStation Now, because I saw the games that were on PlayStation Now. I have all those games. And some I don't, because I think some of the PS2 games were crap. Like Parappa the Rapper. I know people like it, but I don't really care for it. So, I think when you guys at Sony forgot to make your slogan, you forgot to put the PS3 in it. I mean, this game I played for about 40 hours. I would have played it for, again, 50 hours, but Sony needed to make their PS4 backwards compatible. I mean, you guys always talk about greatness awaits. Where's the greatness? I'm still waiting for it. I mean, you got Horizon Zero Dawn coming out, which is no different than Heavenly Sword, but with a bow and arrow. And it almost looks like the latest Tomb Raider game for the PS4. I mean, the early iterations of the Tomb Raider game for the first PS4 game for Lara Croft. I mean, come on. Horizon Zero Dawn is gonna be awesome. And Heavenly Sword was awesome too. But then again, it's not backwards compatible. I would love to play Heavenly Sword on my PS4, but it's only digital on the virtual console for that stupid Sony Play Now crap. I mean, Sony needed to do better than having having an X amount of PS2 games that were playable on the PS3 or on the PS4. I mean, PS4 really needed to be backwards compatible. None of this, I wish it was so and so. None of this. I wish it really was backwards compatible, because there's nothing coming out for PlayStation Now. I mean, that subscription for that service is crap. I mean, it sucks. It's crap. It's actually garbage. I mean, there's nothing out for it that is remotely relevant to the PS3 franchise. If Sony had a brain, they would make the PS4 backwards compatible. I mean, they're coming out with another PS4. I mean, who knows when the promise of the PS4 will be good or not. I mean, I tried the whole virtual reality thing. You know what it does to my eyes? It hurts my face. I was watching the press conference for PlayStation, and the lighting for certain videos in their marketing ploy hurt my eyes because the lighting. I played with virtual reality, basically what I'm saying. Within depending on the lighting, it was hurting my eyes because I played virtual reality the day before. It caused water to come out of my eyes. I mean, everybody says virtual reality is the next step in the iteration of gaming. I mean, that's true, but it has to be actual 3D holographic imaging projected onto the screen. What I mean, it has to be basically. Have you ever seen the movie Lost in Space? The 1997 version? Where the little boy was getting in trouble by the principal, and the principal was talking to the mother, and the boy was messing with her clothes. That's real virtual reality. Not a possibility of virtual reality. I mean, it's not even virtual yet. I mean, if you call that 3D virtual reality, then I don't know what to say to people, but it's not virtual reality. I think the human brain could only concept a certain level of realism, but it's not real 3D imaging. I mean, I would have to say it's gonna take about 20 extra years to get virtual reality where it needs to be, where you could actually see the other person on the other side, where you could see an other person as an actual image, like Star Wars. In Phantom Menace, where they had the Jedi Council on a projection screen. That's gonna take about 20 years. An extra 20 years. But it's not quite there yet. And to tell you the truth, again, I'm getting off topic, but I'm saying they should have really made the PS4 backwards compatible, because of games like this, and I don't have to trade in my Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse for the PS4 version. I mean, you broke up my set, Sony, and not to mention that the PlayStation has Zone of the Enders 1 and 2. Guess what? It's on PS3 as a collection. And why is it that Sony on the PS4 is making another God of War game? I mean, the PS3 version collection should have actually been remade on the PS4 first, rather than making a new God of War game. And not to mention that I watched E3's press conference on that. Kratos looks like a baby. He's complaining and whining like a little baby. I mean, or he's like, I don't get that. Why is that? Kratos is supposed to be or angry all the time. He's supposed to be pissed off all the time because he basically is supposed to be angry. He's supposed to be the God of War. But whoever he's gonna face in this one, I think he's not gonna have the gumption or the gung-ho-ness to actually beat who he's facing. I wouldn't be surprised if this is gonna... I thought where they actually ended up for God of War was gonna be the last one. I mean, God of War is awesome, but the series is awesome, but number 3 in the franchise was a remastered version of the PS3 version. I mean, why out of every God of War game you guys decided that Santa Monica Studios needed to remake the worst one out of the God of War franchise? I mean, 3 was part of the story, I get it. But number 3? Come on now. You had 1, 2. Those were awesome. But 3? You know what? I decided not to when that game came out, I decided to take a pass on it. Because I have all the other God of War games, the whole set of them. I have 1, 2, 3, Chains of Olympus, and the Ghost of Sparta, and the most recent one. I have all 5. And also, why was the crappy version of Devil May Cry made for the PS4? The DMC version. Not the collection. The reboot. The prequel of the prequel of the DMC series. Because he has brown hair. I mean, whoever said that game was good is not really a DMC fan. I mean, it's part of the story, but that game was garbage. And you got Sony decided to ask the people who made DMC to remake it. Out of all the DMC games you guys could have made, you remade that one too? I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. And I have Jade Star for my PS3. I bought it twice. I have the Japanese version and the US version. And I don't have the PS4 version. Because then I would have 3 different copies of it. But why was that game made on PS4? I don't know. If they made it backwards compatible, they wouldn't have to make it another version of it. I mean, there's a lot of games that they remade for the PS4, which that would solve that problem if the PS4 was backwards compatible. I mean, backwards compatibility would have been awesome, but it's not there anymore because their marketing for the PS4, I think, could have been done better. If I was the owner of Sony, I would have said, we gotta put backwards compatibility in. I mean, backwards compatibility to this day isn't what it used to be. Because even Xbox is partially making their good games compatible with the Xbox One. Microsoft, you did good. But again, even your competitors like the Wii made their systems partially or in part backward compatible. Because what? The Wii U, the Wii, they're all playable on their new console. What I'm saying is that Sony needs to fix what they messed up on. They can't just rely on PlayStation Now, because they're not even utilizing that property correctly. Because Sony, all they needed to do was make it backwards compatible for the system, backwards compatible with the PS3 and the PS2, but most of the games that are made for PS4 or shall I say PS3 are backwards compatible, are playable on the PS3. I mean, that were on the games that are backwards compatible that are on the PlayStation Now are already on disc form on the PS3. I mean, and Sony should have just made the PS4 backwards compatible in general. I mean, Sony. Zone of the Enders. It's already as a collection that was remade on the PS3 version, remastered version, but it can't be played on the PS4 because it's not disc-based format for that version, and I don't know why that's not playable on the PS4, because it still plays a Blu-ray disc, but they didn't put the stupid firmware on it. I mean, Sony really needed to make their PS4s backwards compatible, because all the games that were on the PS2 are already remade, or in most part remade for the PS3. I mean, again, Zone of the Enders. I mean, they could remake Max Payne as a collection for the PS3, and then I could play it on the PS4. But wait, it's not backwards compatible again, because Sony didn't make their systems backwards compatible. And I could talk about this all day long. What I'm saying is, Sony should have made their systems, when they made PS4, at least backwards compatible with the PS3. Because most of the games are already remade in disc form for the PS3. So I don't have to trade in my Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse. But I have to trade it in now because it breaks up my set. Because Xenoverse 2 is only coming out for PS4. Xenoverse 2 is only coming out for PS4. So I have to update at least that one game for my PS4. But do I really want to? No. Hell no. I don't want to. But I have to. Because, again, Sony didn't make their system backwards compatible with their previous system. I mean, I have over 100 PS3 games. 100. And Sony didn't have the common decency to make at least their PS3s backwards compatible with their PS4s. I mean, Sony, I think, whoever they need to hire next in their company, I'm sure it's not going to be me, but if I was in charge, I would basically fire whoever I need to fire to get people on the ball. Because backwards compatibility matters to almost everybody in the PlayStation community. Not this downloadable game crap. I don't like downloading my games. I like having games that are that look like this, like this, in disc form. I don't like downloading my games. I purposely will go get the disc for version if I can find it. That's how I got the Devil May Cry 4 version for the PS4 on disc version, because they only sold it in Japan. But I didn't go to Japan, I went on Amazon to get the disc version. Because I'm that dedicated to my gaming. I will go on Amazon, find the disc version, and not download my games. I forbid myself from ever downloading a game, ever. I only have one downloadable game on my PS4. And that's because I had to. It's the Yu-Gi-Oh game. But other than that, I don't really like downloading my games. I think they take up more space. I think they're not really worth it, to tell you the truth. I think they cost just as much to get the disc version of it. I mean, so what's the point? I'd rather play with games that come out like this rather than downloading it onto my PS4. I mean, the only game that was somewhat backwards compatible is Destiny. And Bungie, thank you. The only reason why I had to get a PS4, because my PS3 version broke. My PS3. What I'm trying to say is, when I played Destiny on my PS3, it basically would make my PS3 crash. So, eventually, I knew I had to get a PS4. But, did I want one? Hell no! I will say that again. Hell to the no. I did not want to get a PS4. Just for Destiny. But, I knew eventually I would have to get one because I don't want my PS3 to break. That's how much love I have for the PS3. PS3 and PS2 and PS1 are awesome, but Sony alienated PS1 and PS2 and definitely PS3. I don't know why, but Sony was stupid on doing that part by making what? It not backwards compatible. But Sony could do better. Sony should take something out of Microsoft's book now and make games partially backwards compatible. If they want to go that route. But no, Sony says they're always going into a new direction. But I don't think that's the case. If they were gonna probably... They need to focus on making more PS2 games available for the PlayStation Now. But PlayStation Now is crap. They're not even focusing on that. What are they using the $17.99 on every month that when games come out? What are they using that for? Maintenance? I mean, if that's the case, then what's the point of spending $17.99 every 3 months? At least for me, because I can't afford the $50 price tag that Sony offers for the 12-month membership. Or the year membership, for that matter. I think Sony really needs to consider making their PS4s backwards compatible. That's all I'm saying. Because they're losing money just by making another PS4. They lost even more money when they made the 6 different versions of the PS3 and not sticking with the 60 and the 20 gig. The two good children of the PS3s. None of this, oh, we're only making it PS1 backwards compatible. No, you gotta make it PS3 compatible too, with the PS2s included in it. You guys at Sony made that promise of making their systems backwards compatible. If you guys never made that promise in the first place, you guys would be fine, but you guys did. By not making PS3s backwards compatible with the PS4s, you're alienating all these good games that you have for the PS3s that are PS3 fanboys who play it like me, not want to play with your systems. I don't even want to play with my PS4, but I have to. Because I don't want my PS3 to break. Let's see, what else? And if you agree with me, we should start a movement for the PS3 fans that are fans of the PS3 games in general. I think people should write a petition on making the PS4s backwards compatible. I mean, whoever starts it, it's fine by me. But I really think that they should really make the PS4s backwards compatible with the PS3 games at least, because they have Zone of the Enders 1 and 2. And also, there's another game I would want to point out. They have the Onimusha collection for the PS2 games. But Capcom hasn't re-released them yet as a collection on the PS3. I mean, I played that game for what, about 80 hours in total, each one. But my favorite character is Samanosuke. That game was awesome. Each one I averaged about 80 hours. I would say about 50. And that game should be remade as a collection on the PS3. Where is it? I want it. And I'm sorry for those Kingdom Hearts fans, because who knows when it will come out for stupid PS4. Because the only reason why they announced it for PS4 is because they wanted to sell more consoles. But I knew if it wasn't going to come out for PS3, it's not going to come out for PS4. Maybe, possibly PS5. If Sony lasts that long. Because the way they're going, I'm not going to be surprised if they might shut down entirely. If that's the case, I'll be like, I told you so. Because it's not like they're selling that many TVs. It's not like they're selling that many PS4s. They could actually be manipulating the numbers to state that they're selling this many PS4s and stuff like that. But they would sell a lot more if they could play games from the PS3 and the PS2 and the PS1. But you could only download some games from the PS2. But I don't want to download games from the PS2, from the PlayStation Store. I think that's a waste of money. I think it should be free if you're going to download games like that. That would be a better incentive for that $17.99 crap that I'm paying every 3 months. And that is it for this video. Because I would like to play this on my PS4, but I can't. Because, again, they didn't make it backwards compatible. So, this is it. I'm signing off for this video. And please subscribe if you get an opportunity. It would really help me out.
Text to speech unavailable.